myself and I know what I want. October, baby, you know what I'm on. YSL, baby, I'm East Laurent. Hey, whoa, what's up?
Okay. Hey guys, this is my vlog number 2. I know switching camera and mic. My phone's not really doing it right now, so I think I'll probably stick to my laptop recording system. Anyways, welcome back everyone. This is my vlog number 2 for my juggling journey. Last week I mainly talked about why I chose juggling, mainly to improve some of these daily skills that I have and that you probably use as well. Motor skills, hand-eye coordination, mental focus, and specifically for me, badminton and also academics. But this week I kind of wanted to switch it up. This week I kind of wanted to tell you more about like what was going on through my head, what I actually did, and how it went trying to juggle for the first time. Honestly, it was really a lot harder than I expected. From the outside, I really thought juggling was, I'll be honest, I thought juggling was going to be a lot easier to pick up. Because I thought you really just throw 3 balls in the air and then, I don't know, they just make it look so effortless that I thought it was just way easier. But I did pick up a set of balls. I think I showed in my first blog. It was definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be. My hands and my brains were just, they were just not talking to each other at all. I would say catch the ball, and my hand would not catch the ball. So there's that. I couldn't really, I had no rhythm. I couldn't throw the ball correctly. So it was all over the place this week, to be fair. But don't get me wrong, I did make some progress and improvement. But to get to that, I just kind of wanted to start from the beginning. So from Monday through Friday, I pretty much, I think every single day at nighttime, I spent about 10 to 15 minutes learning the basics of juggling. I think in my first blog, I talked about something called the box method. It's basically a way of visualizing. It's a visualization practice to help you throw the ball consistently, a consistent arc, right? Or a height, I guess, if you will. And I wanted to kind of stick to more stricter practices where it was short. It was shorter practices, more condensed practices versus like a long period of practice where I'm kind of just like overwhelming myself. And I in an article that I also stated in blog number 1 that I will be kind of stating out throughout my future blogs as well. But from the article, Simply Faster, they basically state that shorter and more consistent practices are more effective for motor learning kind of skills. So in this case, that's what I decided to stick to for juggling. And I guess we can kind of get into how it went. So Monday to Tuesday into kind of Wednesday, I really only started with 1 ball, and I was just practicing throwing it from one hand to the other, left to right, right to left. My left hand completely sucks, and my right hand is questionable, but better than my left hand for sure. I definitely had a very hard time with my left hand because it's really not my dominant hand, and besides maybe driving, I don't really use my left hand in general. So just trying to move my hand in this arc motion like this to throw the ball was definitely not easy. And also just throwing the ball in general was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. But you know, we got through it. I believe by the time I got to Wednesday, let me see here on my timeline here. Oh, by Wednesday, I moved on to 2 balls, but I do end up kind of going back, but we'll get there. So on Wednesday, I decided, you know, like maybe I'm just better, right? I was like, you know what? Let's throw 2 balls. So I threw one. None of the balls landed in my hand, but you know, like it's the thought that counted, you know, and kind of going back into my blog number one, this feeling of where I kind of panicked. I had like this vision of like chaos. It was like my brain was kind of frying itself, right? I like threw the ball, but I have a ball in my left hand and there was a ball in the air and I'm just like freaking out and I'm like, crap, what do I do? Right? And it just felt very chaotic to me and I just like my hands would freeze and I'm just kind of like panicking. My brain, my mind is like not in the spot it needs to be, or it's not prepared for what was happening, right? And I guess this kind of like chaotic feeling made me think about something that was pretty important that I mentioned in my blog, my first blog. Um, how juggling is kind of like a metaphor for life. And this week, that metaphor felt more real for me than it did in my first blog because I was juggling two things, but this one thing just overwhelmed me so many times and there's just so many things happening at one time. I felt rushed and kind of like how I dropped all the balls. If you were and if I were to kind of overwhelm myself with all these things I'm juggling, school, academics, I don't know, family matters, right? You're bound to panic and mess up at some point. So, because I felt that way, sometimes you just kind of got to take a step back. And for me, that was definitely my connecting metaphor here because, dang, those two balls made me feel so. It humbled me, to be honest. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a step back and just go back to learning with one hand. So, again, from Wednesday to Thursday, I really practiced that one hand throwing. And man, there was definitely moments where I'm literally throwing one ball and I would quite literally drop the ball 5 or 6 times in a row without catching it once just because my left hand and my right hand just weren't talking to each other. Like it was like, hey, and then it would just kind of leave it unheard, you know? Like I need to make sure they talk to each other, right? But some interesting stuff that kind of happened during Thursday, in between Thursday and Friday. I did decide to try two balls at one time again because I was feeling a little bit more confident this time around. I was able to actually throw the balls up and catch each of them in my hand, but I did it twice and tried it maybe 30, 40 times. So, you know, we're sitting at a good like 2% success rate here, right? But to me, that's the small improvement that I needed to be able to basically take me to a level where I felt more motivated to do more, right? And this kind of connects back to some of the research I did in my first blog from Iowa State University. Let's see here. They said that they had some related research revolving around um, the autonomy of, or I guess the physiology of the brain. And there is this thing called gray matter. And this gray matter is what's associated with your mental focus and also your processing speed. Um, Obviously, I can't see my gray matter expanding or changing, but I can feel that something is happening visually. Um, Movements were starting that like kind of felt unnatural or like not, yeah, unnatural, I guess is probably the best word. That kind of felt unnatural to me on day one. Throughout the week, it started to feel more predictable and it started to come a little bit more natural to me. Another article I kind of wanted to bring back up again is Simply Faster. They kind of explain that juggling improves motor skills because it basically forces the brain and the body to coordinate under timing pressure. Basically, what timing pressure is, it's basically the concept that when put within a certain time frame, for your brain to communicate with your body, if it continuously gets set with this time range or this time stamp, I guess, it forces your brain to only improve at sending signals faster and faster and faster. And that's basically what juggling does and how it improves motor learning and also hand-eye coordination in general. At first, I thought that was kind of, it felt too good to be true for me, to be honest. But visually, as I continue to just juggle with one or two balls, I've been seeing improvement at which my brain is now able to process that even though the ball's in the air, I can clearly think that, you know what, I need to toss up the second ball and then catch the first ball. Before it was I throw the ball in the air and 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 that's basically so far how this week has gone. I've gone from a and dot 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 to and this then this, right? So my brain is starting to process a lot faster now and it's able to coordinate under time pressure. Um, so moving on from that, um, I guess we can kind of talk about how my emotions and just my mental state in general has been performing. So I did notice that my mental state was definitely affected by my performance. When I was practicing after school, or if I was distracted by maybe just in general by outside variables, I definitely became more consistent and I lost my rhythm. But when I would practice in a more quiet space where I can really focus on the thing I was doing, um, my control and my consistency improved. And this kind of made me realize how where our physical coordination is really connected to our mental focus. And this kind of connects how juggling really does improve your mental focus because as you're able to juggle within a certain setting, your mental focus has to be strong enough for you to be able to physically carry that out. And for me, as someone who plays badminton, this was kind of interesting to kind of think about because in badminton, reaction time and hand positioning matters a lot. And I would like to kind of conclude but not fully say that my performance dramatically improved within this first week, but I did kind of notice some very small details. My perception and my ability to perceive the shuttle at faster speeds definitely became a more aware to me that I'm able to kind of see this fast birdie that was a blur to me is starting to become this like actual shape in front of me. And though I can't say it's only from juggling that this is forming, but juggling is helping to train my brain process these kind of movements a lot more carefully and a lot more clearly. So those are just some like little things I've noticed. So kind of moving on to the emotional part. This week was definitely a roller coaster. I've never felt so at a loss at throwing a ball from one hand to another. I've never felt so uncomfortable using my left hand before. But at the end of the day, whenever you're picking up a new skill, you're bound to be bad at it, you know? And these kind of like little hurdles were definitely annoying me at some point, and I definitely did get a little bit sad. And I was like, you know, what if I'm not able to juggle, right? But you have to really look at it on the positive side. And I really just told myself, I was like, you know, maybe I just need to kind of just toughen up and just get it done, right? Improvement doesn't always come fast for everybody. And I'm definitely someone who takes time to improve. And that's something that I know about myself. And I think that's something that I kind of encourage for everyone else to do out there is that improvement may come easiest for some people it may not. And if you do happen to fall within that group that doesn't improve at an alarming rate or a very fast rate, my best advice that I can give is just, you know, don't give up and everyone goes at their own pace because at the end of the day, if you're willing to do it, you can achieve it, right? And that's kind of the motto that I'm sticking with for this 20T project of mine. I think I'm definitely going to be hitting a lot of hurdles where there's going to be like that awkward phase where my brain just doesn't want to grow for a while, and I'm going to hit this plateau of just hurdle over hurdle and hurdle and hurdle, and I just see no improvement, right? But this is just something that I have to mentally prepare myself for. And I'm definitely starting to see that this week, where I had to spend a whole week practicing throwing one ball from one hand to the other. But I do have some good news. Kind of looking at my timeline here because I don't want to lose myself. But at the end of this week, on Friday, I was able to consistently juggle 2 balls. Not really consistently, but maybe like a 50% chance that I can juggle 2 balls, right? I was able to get some clean 2 ball cycles, and I started to practice. I really am starting to see this box because I'm able to visualize it a lot better now after constantly just thinking and looking and doing, right? And I do kind of want to wrap it up here, but for me, the biggest lesson that I learned this week is that improvement, even though improvement does feel small in certain moments, it does not always have to feel dramatic, if that makes sense, right? Though they say like the first 20 hours, right, which is the 20T project, you have this exponential growth, and then you plateau and it becomes linear growth, right? Though I'm feeling these small improvements, I've really only put in an hour or 2 into this project, or into juggling, but I'm able to already see improvement, right? So even though I'm improving very little and it doesn't feel dramatic, you kind of just got to take your wins, and for me, that's how I'm seeing it. And I would like to kind of build on that. I would like to kind of set a goal for my following week. So here's some of my goals, and I will be talking about that. I want to work on the height that I'm throwing the ball consistently, and then I also want to work on my mental focus and being able to kind of dial in on when I'm juggling. And I also want to try to be more confident in when I'm juggling, because at the end of the day, your mental is what helps you physically carry out what you want to do. I hope that wasn't too much, but I am just starting and beginning, and I would love if you guys would keep following along with me, and there are many more blog numbers to come. And my main goal for everyone that's watching, I really want you guys just to understand that there are many different ways to improve whatever you want to do. And this is just one of the ways that I found that I wanted to improve my hand-eye coordination, my mental focus, and my motor skills. But yeah, ending on that note, I will see you in the next blog, where hopefully I will be able to keep 3 balls in the air. Remember that, 3 balls. And thank you for following along for today's blog number 2. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!
East Side Laurent, hey, whoa, Northside rider, DM slider, family and friends provider. What? Yes, I'm him, that ass too slim, I need that shit little wider. What? I'm with the O's and I'm with the crows and I'm with the real King Spider. What? Gang too riled up, I'm too fired up, she let me fucking the